home mean to you, and how has this changed kind of like throughout your life?
Home means to me,
Okay, this is a hard question. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What does home mean to me?
My name is Nicolas Diaz de Leon. I think I like to toe the line between having like a lot of objects and stuff and making things really tidy. Making it comfortable for me just means making it a space that I can like go back to and feel like I am protected and away from people and just by myself. Everything in my room like has a story of either being created by someone that I love or having an origin with an experience of someone that I love. Also a lot of things from my childhood home. An object that brings me the most comfort is actually probably this blanket. It's like this kind of like sewn together quilted sack material that I really like.
My name's Amelia. For me, like lighting is really important. I've always lived in apartments where particularly bedroom lighting is like really bad. We bought like a floodlight and that's like made really nice like warm lighting. That really helped. Just having like lots of lamps, string lights, burning incense and stuff. I also like having a lot of things, like organized chaos has really helped because then it like feels cozy and just like my stuff is all there.
My name is Jad Shaheen. I make my room a comfortable space by embracing myself as a person and by expressing my interests through my decorations and the various objects in my room. I really feel like that makes me feel more comfortable being in my space, and it makes me embrace myself as a person. I think the couple of things in my room from home are my vintage posters from Beirut and various areas in Lebanon. Those posters really make me feel like at home because every time I look at them, it brings me a sense of comfort looking at something that I grew up in, like something that's part of my childhood.
My name is Safa Hashi. I probably make my room a comfortable space by kind of creating different sections in my room. Like, I'm very grateful I have a bigger room so I could do more with the space I have. But as a person who likes to move a lot and who can feel kind of trapped in, I don't want my room to just be where I sleep, where I work. My bed is where I chill with my friends and watch movies. And then my desk is where I work, where I do my makeup. And like this little corner is where like I read books or I play like my instruments. So I make sure to kind of create different spaces within my space to make sure that there's variety in my living. I think it took me kind of a long time to be like, I feel like I finally have represented myself in my room. Without certain things, my room wouldn't be my room. Like, I think it's the collection of all the like posters, the tapestries, the like art that I've found on the corner of the street that I will like pick up for a 30-minute walk because it needs to be in my room. All of those little things together kind of make everything my room.
My name's Claudine. I feel like in terms of making my space comfortable, maybe this is just an excuse for how messy it is, but I feel like part of it is that I moved around a lot when I was a kid. It's kind of like nice to have a messy room because it means that I've like been somewhere long enough to have like accumulated that stuff. When I first came here, I was 17 and I came with like a suitcase. Like I didn't have enough stuff for it to be messy. And I feel like just over the last 6 years, I've accumulated enough stuff for it to be cluttered in here, which is like maybe not ideal, but it is comforting to me in some way. Yeah.
I think probably my favorite object in my room is my guitar. I really like playing guitar because it makes me feel kind of relaxed and it really stops my overthinking, so that's why I like it.
I collect ceramics, specifically teapots and like cookie jars. A lot of them are like farm themed, but I found a set of 2 duck-shaped cookie jars that both have little like bandanas on. That was like my most recent purchase and I'm really proud of those, so probably those.
The first thing that's significant to me is this picture of, this is Saint Therese, and she's like my patron saint, I guess, is like a thing in Catholicism. So Therese is like my middle name, and I feel like it's significant just because I was raised Catholic and I don't really like identify with that anymore, but it's still like comforting to have that around me, and it's like part of how I was raised and who I am, you know? And then the other thing, which is kind of like a drastic shift from that, but this is my Fiona Apple When the Pawn CD, and I just remember finding this in Renaissance and being like so overjoyed to find this because it's like my favorite album.
My two favorite things are this drawing that I have by this muralist from Mexico, Guillermo Chavez Vega. He's a muralist from Guadalajara, Jalisco, where my family's from, and my dad just gave it to me. It was like really special that he did that. And this other thing is like this little clown toy that I had growing up, and I have tattoos of both of these things because they're really important to me. Yeah.
My room now is completely different from the room I grew up in. Like growing up in a North African household, as well as just like financial situation, I've always shared my room with my younger sister. Having a person in your space and having to share that space, like you can never really like have that space be your own, you know, literally and figuratively, I guess. I think the first thing I did, I remember I was like, I'm gonna just represent myself in my room because I can finally have that happen. You see aspects of your childhood in your room, but I like that there's like parts that are my identity because I'm older now, but then I'll have like little plushies or like pictures that I had when I was younger, like up on the wall. I feel like it's nice to mix and match the things I would have liked to have in my room when I was younger and the things I like to have in my room now that I'm in my 20s.
My rooms and apartments have always like grown with me. So even like my childhood room to the room that I had when I was like in high school changed quite a bit, just like as I matured. It's always been like pretty obvious when you walk into my room that it's my room, and it's very like artsy and creative, and there's like a million things going on. I also think a huge thing for me, like childhood Amelia to like adult Amelia in my space, is I like really care about keeping things organized now. I spent the last 5 years in Vancouver, and it's like really expensive and really tough to live there, and like hustle culture is huge. So I felt like as much as I was expressing myself to some degree, both in my personal style and like my home space, I was so focused on just like working to live and working to pay my rent rather than working to like enjoy myself. Now that I'm here with like a lower cost of living and just like a more calm way of life, I feel like I have more space and more resource to express myself and like really invest in my home.
The main way this room differs from like my childhood bedrooms is that it's my own. Moving here was the first time that I had my own room and really like had the liberty to be messy or decorate it however I wanted and not have it like detrimentally impact someone else. So like I said, I moved around a lot as a kid, and like I could never really go ham with like painting my room or like decorating it how I wanted, because there was always a possibility that we were going to move again and we were going to have to show the house and it was going to have to be like presentable to other people. So yeah.
I think my sense of self-reflection changed once I realized what it meant to, like, one, be an international student separated from your family and friends. It really made me feel like there's more responsibility on my plate, but also that made me change, and it, like, changed my character. It made me feel like there's a lot on my plate, but that pushes me forward as a person and makes me more responsible and consistent with my work.
My room right now differs from the room that I had growing up, not so much physically. I feel like I had a lot of books always in my childhood bedroom and a lot of art everywhere. What is very different is growing up, I spent no time in my bedroom. I was always in common space. And now I spend probably like maybe a little bit more than half of my time in the apartment in my room alone. So it's become like a much more intimate, lived-in space. Since moving to Montreal, my sense of self and identity has changed quite a bit, in the sense that I'm moving to a place where I didn't really know anyone before. And it really matters, like you can have a stable sense of self, but it really, your environment is also a really strong stabilizing force. How that's reflected in my room is sort of amongst the instability of not knowing a ton of people in a new city. It has given me like a place to remind myself of like who I am, what I like. I have security in my sense of self.
I think home is just being comfortable, honestly. Like, I think I do put a lot of like value in my room and my space, like being all nice and like aesthetically pleasing or whatnot, but I feel like it's very easy for me personally to like feel like some place is home if I'm comfortable in it, if I feel safe, you know, like if I feel secure in my space. I think the concept of home definitely changed. I love that about like my culture. Like I love the like being together and like living in like shared spaces, like big houses. Like I go back home to Algeria and I visit family, and it's a huge villa where like cousins and aunts and uncles all live on different floors, but everyone's always together. You kind of feel forced to have to live there, to have to share everything, to have to tell people what you're doing, where you're going, who you're with. So I'll be like, this is my space. I feel safe and secure, but I still would like to be like, you know, close by, have the people who I love be around kind of thing.
Because I moved around so much, like I feel like I never really had a very stable home, and it's always, you know, when people ask me like where are you from, I always struggle to find an answer to that. And I've lived here for longer than I've lived anywhere since I was 10 years old. So this is like my home in a very real way, but then also like, you know, my visa's running out and stuff like that. So it's like I'm really having to like confront the possibility that even though I feel like this is my home, it still isn't. The idea of home is always kind of like nebulous to me.
Home means to me any place where I feel like I can like actually be myself and like inhabit a space unself-consciously, like with confidence. It doesn't have to be my home. It doesn't have to be a place that I've known for a long time either. So that means that people can make a home and people can give you the confidence to inhabit a space as well. I'm not so materially or geographically tied to an idea of home.
I think the idea of home has like changed a lot through my life. When I was growing up, I'm a child of divorce, so I think a lot of people that come from divorced parents can relate to the like pack your life up every week. So I got really used to my home just being like me and my backpack. Even though I had a space at both of my parents' house and like I felt comfortable in both of my parents' house, there was still this like I was shifting back and forth all the time. I was like a pawn in somebody else's life for my whole childhood. I was just like always in transition, I guess. I never like had one place that was mine. I'm at my mom's house right now or I'm at my dad's house right now. It was never like I'm home. So I think the first time I ever like moved into an apartment by myself was the first time I felt like I had a home. The first time I felt safe and secure and I could really like fully be myself and like let go and like explore what home means as an actual like stationary place for the first time.
Home means to me somewhere where I can feel like I can express myself as a person without feeling judged or needing to change the way I interact with people. It's pretty difficult for me to embrace home here, but I still try to keep myself positive. I think the idea of home changed from more of a physical place because like back home I was just physically in Lebanon, which made me feel at home, to more of an idea where it's more of a personal comfort with where I am. And now 2.5 years here in Canada has made me feel like I can start calling this place home more and more as I spend more time here.